This is one of the most interesting stories that I am excited to talk about. And I know you are too, because we made sure that we had your shirt on for it. Duquesne is looking like a great basketball team this year. And what's the last time we got to say that, Steve? They get a win against over VCU 79-70. They moved to 12-4. They are what, 2-1 now in the Atlantic 10. They're looking like a really good basketball team. We're talking about maybe Duquesne. I don't know if we can talk about them maybe being a tournament team. I don't know if we're that far in here. I think you might. Okay, we got some, but regardless, I think we are going to see them in the
I'm
postseason one
drinking
way
the
or another.
Kool-Aid here live on national.
Let's do it. Go for it. That's it's Kool-Aid Rain, by the way.
Yes.
What's your thoughts of this Duquesne team? I mean, they look real good. The nice win over VCU, 79-70. Again, moving to 12-4 on this one. Jimmy Clark, that guy is a very fun player to watch. I'm going to give you the reins here because I know you got a lot of fun things to talk about with this team.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Jimmy Clark. I mean, it's kind of ironic, because you really think of Jimmy Clark the third and as a VCU, as a Ram, because he played 2 years there.
Yep.
He transferred out, won a national JUCO championship last year at North Florida. Comes to Duquesne as part of the invasion. It seems like it's a new thing every year. It's like some people like throw out all their socks and underwear every year and then buy new ones. That's what Keith Dunbar seems to be doing with players. I mean, the COVID year really cast a pall on the program. A lot of people wanted out. They didn't have a home court to play at because the new one was under construction. But each of the last 2 years, he's had to completely turn over his roster because of people going into the transfer portal. And, he's kind of like picked and cherry picked players out of the MAC, which is really where his background, is in Ohio basketball and all of that. But then he finds a guy like Jimmy Clark and a guy that's going to play a style that he likes and a guy that's going to be able to bring up the level of the players around him. And I think that's what Dombrot was really trying to do this year when he forced some players out and said, go ahead. You want to go in the transfer portal? Let me get the door for you. Okay. And he's done that each of the last 2 years. But to have this many players come in, and we're going to talk about another A10 team close to your heart here in a little bit. To bring in 10 scholarship players and in essence having an entire new starting five and to come out to this kind of a start. I mean, that's why I'm drinking that Kool-Aid Rain. I mean, I really do think that Duquesne, if they keep playing the way that they have, and don't forget, I mean, John Calipari was heaping praise on Keith Dombrot and this Duquesne team and their style of play and their aggressiveness because they really had Kentucky on the ropes for a big part of that game. And I think that probably exposed Kentucky. This was an early season game. It kind of exposed Kentucky as to like, wait a minute, maybe they're not as invincible as we think in the front court. I mean, Duquesne's not a big squad. They competed pretty hard on the boards against Kentucky, so I'm really excited. Again, I'm not a big Pitt basketball fan, so I tend to watch Duquesne and WVU. WV is on my regional sports network, and Duquesne. I mean, I could hop on a light rail transit car and I could be at the new arena in 10 minutes. So it's pretty exciting to have them around. Jimmy Clark, career high 26 points. He was 10 for 17 from the floor. He had 5 steals. He helped distribute the ball. And Mike Rhodes, for the VCU coach, he tried a lot of different combinations to try to, I don't know that he was even trying to shut him down, just try to like limit the damage. You kind of like make sure that the flood waters were coming in through the dike really slowly so you can reinforce the rest of your team. They just had no answer for him, and you would think that they would know him pretty well in that program because he did play for Rhodes. When Rhodes first got there, Jimmy Clark was at VCU, and Clark controlled the tempo the entire night. And I loved the comment from Dombrot in the post game. He said every time they got close, meeting VCU, he came through and made an unbelievable play, and I'm really happy for him. And he was so excited. He made a highlight reel dunk where he stole the ball, broke, nobody was near him, underhand toss off the backboard, up, slam.
Yeah,
And he's
this game.
6'3". Yeah, right. Yeah, right. And he's 6'3". It's not like he's 6'10", 6'11". He got up off the ground. So this is the 9th straight game he was in double figures in scoring. So I think if he keeps this pace up and the A10 continues to shake out where the teams we thought would really be dominant at the top
Right. Yeah.
kind of dripped a little bit. I mean, Dayton has kind of turned things around a little bit. St. Louis is still struggling. There are teams like St. Bonaventure, like Duquesne, even VCU, if they can kind of get their, I think they need to sort some things out defensively, but if they get all that running, you're going to see multiple teams, and a team like Duquesne might sneak into NCAA. Now, I mentioned your St. Bonaventure bodies because Schmidt also had to bring in replace 10 scholarship players.
He did, yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, well, it's going to be a rebuilding year.
Yep. I think they were preseason predicted 9th in the Atlantic 10. 8th or
right.
9th, yeah.
Right. And we talked about it when we did the A10 preview. You never rule out any team coached by Schmidt. He can X and O it with anyone. I don't care what name you throw out there. He can match them, move for move. And as far as making in-game adjustments and using the rotation of his players, I don't know that I can count on maybe half of one hand a coach that might be better than him at doing that. But there's a nice comparison. I mean, that's your hometown university, St. Bonaventure.
Yep.
They're doing the same thing that Duquesne is doing. Now, St. Bonaventure has more cred, I think, because they've certainly had some great teams over the last last decade. Duquesne, they were great when I was a kid, and they went to a Final Four. But I was trying to remember without looking it up the last time they went to the NCAAs, and I don't remember. It might be the 70s. I mean, that's literally how long it's been for them. And this is a long time, very proud program that was always winning NITs, always winning invitational tournaments. So, but maybe this is the sign within the A10 that you use the transfer portal to build on the fly, keep other teams, on their heels, and maybe you're gonna get some surprises. I mean, I would be shocked if both of these teams weren't at least on the bubble come March. That's how, again, a little bit of hometown fanboy. Okay, I'm probably a little guilty of that. You are probably right when you say they're not going to be in for an NCAA tournament at Duquesne. I mean, you're probably right. I think they would match up poorly with teams with size, but I mean, it's amazing the job that Keith Dumbrot has done and the job that Schmidt has done up there in Olean, using the transfer. How do you replace 10 scholarship players? Like in the case of Duquesne, it was 77% of scholarship rostered players are new this year coming in through the transfer portal. So it's amazing. I mean, how do you feel about your St. Bonaventure team?
Yeah, I'm excited, pleasantly surprised. I was really worried at first because those grad transfers moved on. Everybody thought that they were going to stay and thought they were going to be a top team. When they moved on, there was a lot of question marks, but they have a lot of youth. But my question is, it's awesome this year, but with that transfer portal, are they going to take the next step again? And all those young players, are they going to move to the Power 5 and move on up? The Atlantic 10 seems like to be the middle ground stepping stone, if you will, between low major and Power 5 schools. Yeah, we know Atlantic 10 is probably the best mid-major conference, I think, in all of college basketball.
Yeah, I think that's
probably. So I think that's why that's probably a stepping stone. I would just love to see those young players on both Duquesne and Bonaventure to stick around. I feel like it would be the ultimate present, and I know it comes in March, so it could be a little late Christmas present, but if Bonaventure and Duquesne were in the Atlantic 10 championship, I think that'd be the most perfect SlasherU present of all time. Duquesne is 2-1 in the Atlantic 10 right now after that win against VCU. On Saturday, 6 o'clock Eastern, ESPN Plus, they head to Richmond, a little bit close to me, and they're going to take on the Spiders. They're 8-7 on the year so far, and then they're going to go head on back up and take on St. Joe's on Wednesday before they head over to Olean to take on St. Bonaventure. So should be a pretty good matchup. They played Bonaventure twice this year, so we'll see how that one goes. But I'm really happy to see what Duquesne. They're successful so far. Right now, they are second in the Atlantic 10 or third in the Atlantic 10 right now, behind Dayton and St. Bonaventure, who are both undefeated right now. Duquesne is 2-1. It's just a really interesting team right now, and I really like where they're heading. And I would not want to play them, no matter who is on that schedule in the Atlantic 10. That's all they have left. I would not want to play the Dukes, not one bit.
Right, and again, I mean, Saint Bonaventure and Duquesne are sort of mirror images. They're just a nightmare to have to game plan for, and I think they easily force their opponents out of their comfort levels, out of their zones. They both can run and gun for brief moments of time. I think they can run and gun with everybody. But you say that, I mean, the 8-10 is it going to continue to be a feeder system? I wonder if more people are not going to be dropping down from the Power 5 conferences, seeing the brand of basketball, because A10 basketball, it's an exciting brand of basketball. Some teams are really defensive minded. Some teams will run and gun. There's always at least one elite team that does some damage going into the tournament. So if everything falls into place, I think the opposite. I think for the A10, I think you're going to see more quality players, 4-star recruits, 3-star recruits, wanting to go through the A10 because they'll get a chance to play either replacing people who might transfer out, or just the fact that the brand of basketball is going to get them noticed by NBA scouts, because there's a pretty healthy amount of players coming out of the A10 every year, that are scouted, for the NBA draft. They're drafted, or they signed on with the D League and work their way onto an NBA roster. So I'm much more optimistic about the fact that teams like Duquesne, teams like St. Bonaventure can really boost the overall I don't know what you want to say, the opinion. You want to get the kids excited. And I think like Schmidt and Dumbrot are the perfect kind of coaches to get the kids excited. Yes, St. Louis is good. Yes, Dayton could be great.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting to show what they've got now.
We'll see if that happens. I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping that we get 2 bids into the NCAA tournament from the Atlantic 10. That would be a dream come true for me, someone who pays attention to that conference quite closely. Let us know your thoughts in the comment description below. What do you feel about the Duquesne team, about their recent success? It's nice to see them not in the basement, isn't it? And let us know your thoughts about the Atlantic 10 conference. Who do you see winning it all? Dayton's kind of making a step back. We see St. Louis where they're at still, or could it be those Dukes over there on Steve's shirt? Let us know your thoughts in the comment description below. Hit like and subscribe while you're there. And thanks for watching SlasherU.